Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this last actually session coming off of Manufacturing Month, and undoubtedly, actually the most important summit for educators. We've been talking about education and educators really being melded into the entire workforce solution for many, many years now, and it's just wonderful to see that this sort of momentum is occurring here, and we're actually making progress on it. When I looked at the presentation, I was astounded by the depth of the services, of the participation that we have here. It makes you feel real good about the future. There's going to be some marvelous speakers today in a real mix of businesses and service providers and people very, very experienced in programming, but how do we get this down deeper into the educational system? So you educators, I mean, you're the ones that are inspiring our youth. You're the ones that are actually transforming everything that we're doing for this workforce of the future. So it really, really starts with you. So anything that we can be doing on our end to provide you with insight or tools to make those connections is going to be incredibly valuable. So as you probably heard, this webinar is being recorded. There's a Q&A session, but you can also go into the chat room, put your questions in there. You can raise your hand. So we definitely would like to see some participation. So at this time, I'd like to bring Dr. Sal Menzo on. I don't see Sal yet, but Superintendent of Goodwin Magnet Schools. I know he's here. I'd like to bring him out and introduce Sal. He's going to be taking a leading role in moving us through this presentation. And Sal, you've just done such an amazing job with the magnet schools, and I know you've got some significant plans, and you're really at kind of the center of that K through 12, but also as Goodwin University and Bridgeport University, you've got these other programs out there and associate's degrees, bachelor degrees, and of course, all the training and certification. So Sal, can you pop on now and we'll
Sure.
Q&A? Yeah, thanks, Sal. There you go.
Great to see you.
Great, Sal. So again, good afternoon. This is not new to you. You've been in this space a long time. It's going to be great hearing from you. But how's your experience been so far as you're looking at these magnet schools and really the breadth of everything that Goodwin University and that system is offering?
I believe that what's been really refreshing is the breadth and the connectivity and the coherence that we're developing from the magnet school system to the university and other opportunities right into the workforce as well. In this new role, having been previously in Wallingford for 12 years and establishing advanced manufacturing programs with the help of Todd Birch and many others, I'm very fortunate to be part of our ecosystem of Goodwin and our magnet system. We have 4 schools or 3 schools, shall I say, and a program. We have our magnet school. We start at pre-K and we go through grade 12. Our middle school is in year 3, our elementary school is in year 12, and our high school is in year 13. And the high school is unique because we have 4 pathways, one of which is advanced manufacturing. And then we have a half-day program that will expand to 2 cohorts next year in a half-day program for students that come in to receive 21 credits in advanced manufacturing. So we're very fortunate that we have the collaboration with the university. We're extremely pleased because we have over 20 students out in paid internships that started the end of February. They work for approximately 6 to 8 hours a week, and they're applying the skills that they learned in their coursework in our schools. Coming attraction is that we have our new technical high school that will be opening up hopefully in the fall of 2025. And that one is going to be incredibly forward-thinking, looking at just not 4.0 in terms of Industry 4.0, but also trying to push ourselves to Industry 5.0. But I think the uniqueness of being on a university campus that is so steeped in advanced manufacturing and workforce development and giving its adult learners opportunities to really provide a quality lifestyle for themselves and their families, but be able to have our high school students have that experience as well is somewhat that so rewarding. And it's a great opportunity within my professional career to be part of this experience.
So, I mean, you are really right in the center of these particular opportunities that are facing us now, but we know this is in years and years ahead, this workforce issue that we have. And I know we may be manufacturing focused today, but let's just face it, the things that you're looking at regarding automation and coding, all these industrial technologies, they span healthcare and insurance and could be financial services. It could be a whole host of different industries. So as we attract these young adults, we need so many of them. And what's the inspiration that you can kind of offer us about, how do we get more of these young folks interested in, again, I want to be listening from the educators about what do we need to do for them? How can we be there for them with everything that's plus?
And I appreciate that question. I think one of the key things, and I would offer to any educator on this call an opportunity to join our district consortium that we established through Goodwin University. We have about 24 districts that we meet on a quarterly basis with superintendents, with CTE directors, career technical education directors, with school counselors. And I think it's just educating our staff on the opportunities, then in turn, educating the families. Because I think that we still live in a community and in a world and a part of the country where college is seen as the alternative and the only alternative. I think it's beginning to shift, but as we work with the Connecticut School Counselor Association, and I will give a plug that we will be doing a presentation, myself, Eileen, and others, Paul Lavoie will be part of that, at the School Counselor Association, because we need to get everyone understanding that these are crucial opportunities for our students. The world of work is there. I was actually just recently talking to graduates from our high school. They're employed and they're making significant money. They're actually being paid to go back to university to gain additional credits beyond the 21 that they received and earned at Goodwin. And they were inspirational to our present students. So I think it's a matter of as a school district, as a school leader, to really chart the course with your school counselors, working with your career technical education coordinator or whomever runs your Perkins grant, to identify as part of a strategic outlook and really figure out what are the next steps that you need to take. So I appreciate, the opportunity to kind of share that, but I think, at this point, we probably need to move on because we're running a little late. And I want to make sure that we have enough opportunity, and I'm thrilled to be able to introduce our guests. They all know me and they all still were willing to volunteer. So the fact is that we have Paul Lavoie, who's Connecticut Chief Manufacturing Officer for the state of Connecticut. We have Tracy Ariel, who is the Connecticut Office of Workforce Strategy for the state of Connecticut, and Shannon Marimón, who is the Executive Director of ReadyCT. First, we're going to start with Paul. And I know that he has so much that he could share with us. And I know that he only has a short amount of time, so we'll get right into it.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much, Sal. I appreciate that. So let's go right into talking a little bit about manufacturing. And what Sal has asked me to do is to talk a little bit about the past, the present, and the future. So we can advance the slide. So if you think of manufacturing in the past, you probably think about it as your grandfather's manufacturing. It's dark, it's dirty, it's dangerous. It's not really a great career, long hours, a lot of physical demands, really not maybe necessarily something that we really want to encourage folks to be able to get into. Maybe long hours with your back hunched over, working at a machine and things like that. And certainly, Connecticut is the foundation of the Industrial Revolution. And it really is kind of the birthplace of manufacturing. And manufacturing used to look a lot like this. During the Industrial Revolution. But if we go to the current, next page, talk a little bit about what we're doing here in Connecticut. So Connecticut Manufacturing, we're the #1 metro for airplane engine and parts manufacturing. And we're also #3 in defense spending on a per capita basis in the US. Right? We make the F-135 engine that goes in the F-35 warfighter. We make helicopters, attack helicopters, the Black Hawk. We make the president's helicopter. And of course, down in an electric boat, we make submarines as well. And we have a burgeoning medical device industry, food manufacturing, chemical manufacturing, supply chain for all of these companies. There's 4,368 manufacturers in the state of Connecticut. So we have the breadth and depth of manufacturing here in the state. Next slide. We're #3 for the most concentrated manufacturing area. If you swing a wiffle ball bat, which is made here in Connecticut, you're going to hit a manufacturer. And we're #4 in productivity of employees and #4 for the most innovative economy. So in Connecticut, for being a small state, we punch well above our weight class. Next slide. Just a little bit more about our manufacturing sector. So there's 4,368 manufacturers in the state. We employ 161,000 people. 40%, 60,000 work for the top 25 companies, and 60% work for the rest of the companies, which means our average manufacturer is 20 to 25 employees, in that range. So let's talk a little bit about the future. So Industry 4.0, we are in the throes of Industry 4.0, and there's conversations about Industry 5.0, but we'll focus on Industry 4.0 and the factories of really today and the factories of the future. And those are factories that are highly automated, that are using big data to have machines talk to each other, cloud computing, they're autonomous. I actually just left a meeting at Command Aerospace where we're talking about autonomous cargo vehicles that are being used in the military. So these are vehicles that'll fly themselves into hot military zones to deliver supplies to our troops and then to be able to leave. And again, without having a pilot manufacture them as well. And then additive manufacturing is another one of those industry technologies, and that is the 3D printing of parts. So we've gone from dark, dirty, dangerous to being clean, advanced, green, and really a whole different kind of skill set around Industry 4.0 and Industry 4.0 technologies. The state of Connecticut, through its Manufacturing Innovation Fund, is making significant investments in innovation, significant investments in technology, significant investments in workforce, and significant investments in supply chain resiliency to make sure that we have the talent that we need to make sure that we're making the most sophisticated parts and most sophisticated machines that are made in the world here through our manufacturing facilities. So we're very, very excited about what's happening today in our manufacturing sector. Again, it's a growth sector for the state of Connecticut. Jobs are plentiful, and they are life-changing jobs that are available for everybody along the pathway system. And that means that you can come into manufacturing from high school, you can come in from a community college, you can come in from a four-year university, or you can come in from an advanced degree and a PhD, and understand that when you come into manufacturing, your education is just starting. So once you get into manufacturing, we're continually moving, continually learning, and continuing and innovating. So it's a very, very exciting time to be in manufacturing, and I'm delighted to be able to share this with you today. Thank you.
Paul, thank you so much. And this is Paul's contact information. As what's been stated in the chat, information on the slideshow will be sent out to participants later. Again, please utilize the chat box to start putting in questions, because there will be an opportunity to ask questions of the individuals who are presenting. But again, thank you, Paul, for your hard work. At this time, I'd like to introduce Tracy Ariel, who is from Office of Workforce Strategies. So Tracy, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me today. I'm going to take a second of my 5-minute time here, and I want to do a shout out to Mr. Duhame's sophomore precision manufacturing class that's listening in at Bullard Havens today. So thank you for joining us. So the Office of Workforce Strategy, we are if you want to advance next slide, we are the administrative arm to the Governor's Workforce Council. The department itself is about 3 years old, and we were established by Governor Lamont to focus on workforce and workforce programming in Connecticut. So we have 6 strategic pillars, which are, we have an executive committee, we work with the WIOA across the state, we have a committee on data and performance, diversity, equity, inclusion. We have a business leadership and sector training, and education and career pathways. And there are monthly meetings which are posted on the state website if you're welcome to join. Next slide. So I was also asked to do a past, present, and future, but since we're only 3 years old, our past is not that past. In 2020, when we were established, we put together a strategic plan on how we were going to take the Governor's Workforce Council and develop programming through available ARPA funds. And then 2021, we received $70 million in ARPA funds to create short-term workforce training. And I'll talk more about our Career Connect program in a further slide, but with $70 million towards that short-term training program and a platform, $40 million towards improving the workforce system. And then we proposed and were awarded another $23.9 million to help establish and grow regional sector partnerships. Now, we are executing those grant funds. Next slide. So the two big funds that I talked about, the 70 million and the 23.9 million. First is Career Connect, that's the $70 million. The funding was awarded to the 5 workforce boards and 14 community-based organizations. We developed a statewide recruitment portal, and I'll make sure that that website is available to you all. The intent was to facilitate and collaborate organizations on a statewide, for statewide programming. So instead of having one workforce board that only dealt with manufacturing, that one workforce board will now work with the other workforce boards to move that manufacturing education out statewide. That's where we are delivering our sectoral training. The idea is to focus on these in-demand occupations and industries, which again, today's conversations around manufacturing, but this is also IT, healthcare, bioscience, and other in-demand sectors in the state. And then to take those state bonding dollars to support the workforce training. The Good Jobs Challenge, which is our regional sector partnership funding. We were just awarded that. We're implementing those grants now. 10 regional sector partnerships were given funding, including 4 that are manufacturing related. There might be 5. There's 5, sorry. And again, this is for industry partners to get together and talk about what workforce training they need in their area, develop a strategy on making sure that students that are taking manufacturing education programs are employable at the end of their training, and how there are jobs available for them. So next slide. So this is what the portal looks like for Career Connect. This is our virtual front door for workforce training. So a person would put their, any person would put their job experience in here. The job experience would then align with whatever industry they're interested in and find opportunities for training and or jobs. Next slide. As of the March 21st, 2023, we've had 4,615 people come into this portal and interest. 3,436 of them have actually onboarded themselves and putting their information into the program, into the platform. And already we have 1,000 that are involved in training of some sort. The graph on the right-hand side shows how the funding itself for Career Connect was distributed. So you can see that manufacturing receives 17% of the $70 million. All right, next slide. All right, now for the Good Jobs Challenge. Good Jobs Challenge, again, was intended to build regional sector partnerships. And I know that the other side of this conversation today will be around the regional sector partnerships. They are healthcare, IT, and manufacturing. And you can see by this graph where those partnerships are. Next slide. So in regards to youth, the regional sector partnerships, there were 3 that were awarded specifically to focus on the youth population. So not that there's anything wrong with healthcare, but we're going to skip right over that and go to the Eastern Manufacturing RSP. They were awarded just under $2 million to expand the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative that will train 420 participants over 3 years. I know John Murphy is on this call today. So John Murphy is heading up the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative. Next slide. All right, and then what's happening in the future? So that was past, present, and now. On the 21st of April, we are having a workforce summit. The information is here, and I know that the slides go out. So if you have any questions about it, please let me know. But and thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Tracy. We appreciate it. And moving very quickly, because we are running a little behind, to my close friend, Shannon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I will speak very quickly. So I'm really grateful to be here today. As an industry area, manufacturing is one of the various industries that ReadyCT is involved in at the K-12 level, but it's one that's especially near and dear to my heart because I come from a family of half manufacturers and half educators. So I'm completely split down the middle in terms of allegiance. So excited to have this conversation. For those who aren't familiar with ReadyCT, we are a statewide nonprofit that is focused explicitly on this intersection between K-12 education and workforce development, and looking for opportunities to better align our educational system with our world of work, current and future tense. And we're looking at all the ways that we can break those silos down that might exist between the world of education and the world of business. We're also an affiliate of the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, CBIA. So we're connected to their 6,000 plus business members across the state in order to tap into that community and provide access and opportunity for students at the K-12 level, and educators. We're constantly in partnership with all those, all of you who make this happen day in and day out. Our work covers a number of areas on the programmatic and the policy front. I will say that just specifically to policy, we are always thinking about what we're doing on the ground as it translates to systems level changes that need to happen in order to remove barriers or insert enablers for expanding access for career connected learning for our students. And so if anybody is involved in that front, we would love to hear from you and partner in any way possible on the policy front. But for my next few slides, I'm going to go deeper on our programmatic work. So next slide. So current state, our work has been predominantly focused on this idea of career pathway programming that is embedded within the K-12 system. We're working across school districts in the state of Connecticut. We started in the greater Hartford area and have really expanded from there. And it's really a model that is focused on providing industry-informed curriculum, industry advisory board structure and support, and a continuum of work-based learning experiences for all students who are interested in that pathway. Typically, we are supporting these programs within comprehensive schools. So we are giving students that access to go kind of deep and do a deep dive into a particular industry theme so that they can build their knowledge and awareness of that area and make informed decisions about where they might want to go next. And so with manufacturing, we are supporting currently a number of manufacturing themed pathways across the state. And that gives us some perspective in terms of what's working in certain models and what we could bring to bear in other locations. The second bullet is focused on a major project that we did that was studying all of the career pathways in the state of Connecticut and Rhode Island that prepare students for careers in manufacturing. My colleague Deb Presby, some of you may have been contacted by her, led this project and went very broad in terms of capturing all the existing programs, but then very deep on a subset of programs to understand the best practices that are employed in some of the programs that are more robust and structured. And so if you go to this website, which is ultimately a repository of not only all of those school-based programs, but also all of the manufacturer employers in our state, so that there's a clearinghouse situation where you can find each other. And the goal is for this to become a very interactive web space where employers and educators can connect. If you find information on there that you want to know more about, please reach out to us. Or if you have ideas about how to enhance this website, we would also love to hear from you. And then our Manufacturing Career Roadshow, which is a partnership, it's funded by the Department of Economic and Community Development Manufacturing Innovation Fund in partnership with CCAT, Goodwin University, a number of employers from across the state. And we are working through the regional sector partnership structure that Tracy referenced to provide a dedicated manufacturing career show in all 5 regions of the state of Connecticut. We just did our second one in Southern Connecticut yesterday at Quinnipiac University. We had 32 employers on site promoting what they have to offer for exciting career opportunities, and we had 1,500 students attend. So it was very exciting, and there are 3 more stops to come in 2023, and we'll make sure there's a link for everybody to find out more about that and register. Next slide. And then where we're going, also thanks to support through the Office of Workforce Strategy, our Student 5.0 program is something that we developed in response to COVID 3 years ago, which provides post-secondary transition support for high school seniors or recent graduates who are struggling with their post-secondary planning and are looking for more resources to think about how to inform their career trajectory and what next steps might be required to get them there. That is up and running. And if you are a school that is interested in partnering on Student 5.0, we would love to hear from you. And then the Good Jobs Challenge, which Tracy also referenced, is something that we have been involved with John Murphy and others at the Eastern Workforce Investment Board in laying the foundation for what will become that expansion of the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative. So some of you may have come across my colleague Malia Seavey or Jackie Weatherwell, who are both working on kind of understanding the current lay of the land in Eastern Connecticut as it relates to the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative. So a lot in there, a lot of great links. Looking forward to connecting with anyone on this call who wants to know more about what we're doing in the K-12 space. And to the question about parent contact, we do have a PowerPoint presentation that we do for a parent audience that sort of compels them as a stakeholder to understand the broader picture of the world of work and what opportunities might await their children if they are not already well aware of those opportunities. So thank you again and look forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I want to open up the time. We literally have like 2 minutes, maybe one actually. But if we have a couple of quick questions, we have a question that was just that I could address because he's one of my staff members later. So Shannon, we could talk about that, about the roadshow coming to the Hartford region. So we could talk about that. But are there other questions that people have for our panelists that come to mind at this point?
I guess why aren't we promoting pre-apprenticeship as well as internship would be a question for me.
Does anyone want to respond to that other than me?
So I can say, as far as Career Connect goes, that we are actually we've given funding to the Connecticut Building Trades Institute to promote pathways in manufacturing and construction in the union trades. So there is, I just didn't mention it first here, but absolutely.
Thank you.
And Todd, you know where I stand on that. We, if there are any superintendents or school districts who are interested in pre-apprenticeship programs or certified advanced manufacturing programs to the Department of Labor, please reach out to Todd Birch. He is an incredible asset. If you want to reach out to me, if you have my contact information, I can connect you. I've become somewhat of a matchmaker for him because he was a significant matchmaker for us in Wallingford and now at Goodwin. Other questions?
Perhaps not, Sal. So maybe we will hop forward to the next slide, if that's okay with you. We will have time for a little bit more Q&A at the end of this call, around 10 of the top of the hour. But we wanted to explain to you all how our RSP breakout sessions will work. So the comments shared by Paul Lavoie, by Tracy Ariel, by Shannon, and of course by Ron and Sal were so very important about setting the stage here for what resources we want all you educators to be aware of if you're not already, and to get a little bit deeper into with things that might be coming up new. But now we want to break you into or have you choose and go into your regional sector partnership breakout sessions. And if I follow this map around like a clock, the top of the clock, the green group, will be all of those towns that are affiliated with the Capital Workforce Partners area, and that's what's indicated in green. And each of the RSP leads, should be being pulled into rooms yourself momentarily as soon as I'm done speaking. And so you shouldn't need to assign yourselves, but remember your color if you do. But everyone else who is a registered participant on the call, know what color you want to go into, and please join that group. Each of the RSPs will have an industry point person, as well as a convener and community organizer who will speak about what they're doing locally that will be more closely tied to your region. Then we'll all come back together, perhaps share best practice learned, and have time for some wrap-up comments before we let you go for the day. And again, as I indicated in the chat, we will send out all of these slides later on this afternoon so that you all have access to all of the material and the links that have previously been shared. So the directions in the lower left-hand side just show you that you're going to click the breakout rooms on your Zoom toolbar and join the breakout room that corresponds with your Connecticut region. We're going to give you till about 18 minutes now, till about 10 of, and then we'll pull you back into the larger group meeting. So thank you all, and I hope you have fabulous breakout sessions. have almost everybody back in the large group room. And we wanted to, Sal, I'm sure you're still there. I know we had a few people who were bumping in and out of rooms, but I hope it was effective for all of you or the rest of you. And we now wanted to ask if there were any comments or questions or from the breakout sessions that anyone would like to share.
I'll do it since no one else is. We had a wonderful session. We heard from Hannah Coombs, who is a great spokeswoman for the field, and she said something that I suspected, but I was really great to hear her confirmation, which is that Connecticut as a region is way ahead of some other places in having good relations between educators and manufacturers. And she pointed out that the manufacturing career is not a single career. It's not a single task. There are any number of job titles, but in fact, the career itself is much bigger even than the job titles. And so this is a great time for a young person, whatever that person is interested in, there's an opportunity to use that interest or that skill to good effect in manufacturing. I was also very impressed. Westminster Tool, Hannah's company, is 40 to 50% women. At many times it's half and half men and women. And she said the important thing is to help every person who may want to go into manufacturing see themselves in the field. And that's something, this is a critical point, that's something we can share the diversity among all of our companies so that we have role models for everyone entering the field. I think that was the gist of our conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tony.
Can't be what you can't see.
Yeah, Brett, we had a great conversation about mentorship, that for even companies that are just starting a cultural revolution and trying to create an environment of inclusivity, leaning on our neighbors, leaning on the manufacturing companies around us to source mentors for young people getting into the industry. Regardless of their background, their technical skills. I think that building those relationships with manufacturers in our community, in addition to leaning on these associations and these programs, is a great way for companies that are really trying to take that first step to a cultural revolution, you know.
Absolutely agreed, Hannah. Thank you so much, Eastern Association Manufacturing Alliance. Thank you. What about some of our other partnerships?
So I'll jump in. I think
Thank you, Ann.
one of the things that it's okay. I think one of the important things that we discussed in our breakout session was the availability for the students to come and visit manufacturing organizations, have the opportunity to do mock interviews, give them a real full 360 view of the industry itself. And through the regional sector partnership system, we are looking at ways in which we can make that more available all the time to students. It is a daunting task because we're convened by our, basically in our RSP we have 3 conveners. So, and we do have other jobs, our main roles in our work, but we're working every day to try to set up these systems so that the educational opportunities for students are actually in person. They'll get that chance to see you as an employer. And to Hannah's point, which is so well taken, to see the people who are actually working in these organizations. It's very diverse and it's a great opportunity to get them on campus, so to speak. So we are working, and I made the offer. I think you should connect with your leadership of your RSP, your conveners, and try to work with them as educators to set those up. I know that financially it might be a little bit of a challenge, but where there's a will, there's a way. So.
Eileen, I think that was a similar trend up in the Northwest. I think there was a lot of discussion about apprenticeships, about internships, also just some questions from an educator about how to basically continue to grow as an educator of a career technical education. So I think what's nice, what I'm hearing, and I'm sure you're hearing and everyone else is hearing, there's some common trends and threads that we can continue to redouble the efforts of all the people that have worked so hard to try to address as we move forward.
Fabulous.
And to go off what Sal was saying, in our group, we also discussed how manufacturing isn't always just, working on machines, doing all the dirty work. There's also that white collar aspect to it, right? I forget who had talked about it, but, you can go into marketing, you can go into, accounting. There's so many different career paths you can take within manufacturing. It's not always just, oh, you have to be an engineer, or, oh, you have to work on machines. So I think kind of explaining that and getting that part out there as well is very important for both educators and students, so that, because manufacturing is actually a very, very, very diverse career field. So
I think that's a well-stated point. I think the whole idea that manufacturing might be the focus, but then the ancillary opportunities off of it that a student might find like anything else that they don't, and they're not vested in that particular career in that capacity, but there are other options. So I think that was another common thread that I think we need to continue to be mindful of as the different groups work statewide, and we do our work in our different respective areas.
Completely agreed. So should we give one more moment here for anything else from the Southwest sector, perhaps? Did you want to add in any
I could
comments?
share Eileen from the Northwest. I think
Great,
to
Lindsay.
piggyback off of, I forget who had just said, I think it might have been Anne, but not only to have students see the actual facilities, but to hear from other youth who are having major success. Because it's one thing if I'm just sitting there chatting it up. I mean, they're not going to care as much as if they see an 18, 19, 20-year-old who's making 60 grand, having a life that, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was an option. So that was one thing that we focused on, that we're going to incorporate within our efforts within Hearts and Minds within the Northwest region. But I just think that's also important when it comes to educating. It doesn't have to necessarily come from us. It's also important to come from other youths that are around their age.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Eileen, if I could just add one quick
Yes,
thing here
Dan.
before we sign off, I apologize. I was trying to unmute myself before, but I was hitting the wrong button, so I apologize. But at any rate, yeah, one of the things that we've been doing, and I noticed there were some chat discussions about how do manufacturers get in front of the parents and in front of students. And one thing that I see is taking a hold and has a lot of legs to it is that our manufacturing community has pretty much been adopting a school. And what I mean by that is they've been putting in LCD panels, or going to be putting in LCD panels in some of the schools, the technical schools and high schools within the Southwest here, to give exposure to the students on careers in manufacturing, right? So that Johnny or Susie can go home later, or with the QR code that's on the display, to say, hey, mom and dad, this looks like a really cool company that's right down the street, or whatever it may be, and to start that dialogue with parents. And I really do see that as an opportunity for manufacturers and another avenue without, a formal event, getting in front of students and ultimately parents that help educate them that, there are some great careers in manufacturing.
Fabulous. Well, thank you. I'm going to hop now just really quickly to skip through, and my partner is going to flip through some of these slides, but we're going to send you a recap. So some of the next slides will include, if you go forward, Donna, contact information for individuals at the Connecticut State Department of Education. Next slide, or a couple slides. This provides some information through Peter Demoulas, some programs that are available through Southern Connecticut State University and the CSDE funded URWECA program, which provides some curriculum guidance for school districts. But also there's a professional development listed on that prior slide and on this one here. Now it's okay, Donna, you can keep going forward. You're all going to get copies of these, so I'm not worried about you seeing the details, but I just want to make sure that especially the educators are aware of the additional statewide resources that wrap around even the supports that you get from all of the individuals you've heard speak today and all of the RSPs you've heard connect you with more local resources. And if you go forward again, There is on CCAT, we have featured a number of young rising manufacturing professionals, including some from some of the businesses that are represented here today. And they have shared their journeys, their stories on this platform, makermultipliers.com. There's also a way for educators to get involved with us to help us bring you speakers that can talk about many of their career paths, including Ronnie, who's been one of our featured voices as well. And then the next slide. I know Sal helps oversee eCamp and the way that they help provide services to schools that are from around Connecticut coming to their school, to Goodwin University's Magnet School system. And I know Sal would be happy to give you additional information on this. So I won't go into it more deeply right at this moment, Sal, but I'll give you a moment at the end. And then next slide talks about, the next 3 slides talk about the Connecticut College of Technology, or COT, and how they help pull together the resources from the community colleges for students to bridge that gap into the 4-year university. And they also provide a number of different professional development opportunities for high school teachers and CTE teachers, along with different ways for individuals to work and get credentialed programs at many of the Connecticut state colleges. So continue forward, and one more again. Here's some of the last resources. And Shannon, I have the manufacturingskillsct.com website here. Really, that's quite an impressive platform with so many of the resources that you heard Shannon refer to earlier. There's a couple of others, and we will send this deck out to everybody who's been on the call now. And last, I want to ask Sal and Charles Daniels if you want to make any final comments for all of those who've attended today. And before I do, I just want to say thank you so very much to DECD for the grant that helped us fund hosting this opportunity and bringing together all these voices and all the many resources you can find around Connecticut to help you strengthen your partnerships, your knowledge of the manufacturing opportunities and connections with all of our communities. So Sal or Charles?
You want to go first, Sal?
You go first, Charles.
Awesome, thank you. So, folks, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And now my ask for you is to go out, if you're an educator, contact the manufacturers in your area. If you're a manufacturer, reach out to your school district, show up, knock on the door, say, I'm here to see somebody in CTE or in counseling or in administration. And let's work together. We all have the same goal here, and that goal is to develop these young students so that they become the workforce that we desperately need in the future. I put my email address in the chat, and if you call, and the people that out there that know me, if you contact me and you need me and you ask, I'll show up wherever it is, and I'll do whatever I can to support you. And a lot of my colleagues on this call will do the same. So thank you very much, and I'll kick it back to Sal, and I look forward to working with all of you in the future.
Thank you so much, Charles.
And what I would just say is I 100% can support and could attest to the fact that Charles and the manufacturers on this call are totally supportive and totally engaged and willing to be involved. They want to get involved. And I think that that's something that, again, as educators on this call, please take advantage of that. If you do not have, you do not think you know how to go about doing that, please reach out to me. I put my email in the chat. I work with a lot of superintendents, as I said earlier, throughout the state of Connecticut, helping them gain that ability to connect with businesses. So please reach out. If you'd like to, as an educator, join the group that we facilitate through Goodwin. Please also join that and email me. But again, thank you for all joining us today. Eileen, thank you for your leadership at CCAT in this role. To pull this together. And I know we're making a lot of strides. I've been in this for a long time and there's a lot of growth. So congratulations to everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you all so very much, and appreciate the collaboration, past, present, and what we can do together. So thank you very much.